You want to know how it really feels to see your whole world, the pond you grew up fishing in, the land your granddad bled for, turn into the backdrop for the wildest HOA fiasco this side of Austin? Well, buckle up, because in Texas, sure, we love a good party, but there's one thing we don't ever let slide: trespassing. And when the HOA crowd showed up at my place, floaties, portable speakers, even a full-on buffet to throw their so-called community wellness event, I didn't lose my cool. I just stood there right where my granddad would have and watched them as they paraded onto my land like it was the city pool and not the ranch I'd spent my life taking care of. I'm Luke Mallister, this ranch. It's been in my family since before Texas had proper borders. There's a metal valve on the far end of my pond, a little secret my granddad left me. He called it the drought switch. I call it a lesson in manners. See, when you turn that valve, the whole pond drains out in a matter of hours. You can imagine what happens to folks who thought a raft was all they needed to have a good time out here. Let's just say the bottom of a muddy pond is a whole lot less fun than they pictured. And if you stick around, you'll see that draining the water wasn't even the wildest part. Now, most people around here know me as the quiet guy, the one who can fix your laptop or repair a busted irrigation line, never causes a fuss. I keep to myself. What they don't see is every morning before sunrise, I'm out by that pond showing my 8-year-old daughter, Lily, the lay of the land, teaching her about that valve, about how it's more than a piece of metal, how it's tied to a deal my great-granddad made with the state back in 1953. That valve's protected us for generations. I was explaining it to Lily. She's got this mind for details, sharp as a tack, when I heard the rumble. Not one or two trucks, but a whole parade, SUVs, a catering van, the works. The lead vehicle was this spotless white Range Rover, and out steps a woman with that look rich folks get when they're about to cause trouble. Sunglasses, expensive casual clothes, like she'd spent a fortune to look like she didn't care. "Mr. Mallister, I presume," she says, smiling with all teeth, no warmth. "Vivian Ashworth, Sunset Meadows Homeowners Association. We're hosting our event here today. I hope you don't mind." And behind her, more people setting up tables, speakers, chairs, enough food to feed a battalion. I kept it civil, like my dad taught me. "Ma'am, this is private property. My family's had this land for generations." I could see Lily peeking out from behind me, watching how I'd handle it. Vivian's smile never wavered, but there was something cold behind those sunglasses. Well, Mr. Mallister Water's a community resource, especially when it affects property values and quality of life. She flashes a piece of paper at me, a city permit, she says, but it's a blurry photocopy with a barely legible signature. She's trying to play me. I'll need to see the original. Until then, I'm asking you to take your party somewhere else. But she just doubles down, says she's only trying to bring neighbors together, throws in a jab about my late wife Sarah, saying, "Wouldn't she have wanted you to be generous with your blessings?" That one stung. I lost Sarah in a car accident 3 years ago, and there's just no getting used to strangers using your grief as leverage. Meanwhile, her team's already spreading out, setting up like they own the place. Vivian pulls out her phone, goes live on Facebook. "We're here at this beautiful natural area, but sadly someone thinks they can keep nature all to themselves." She makes sure to catch me in frame, standing protectively next to Lily. That's when my neighbor Tank Rodriguez, a retired Dallas detective, shows up, gives me a nod like you need backup, and let me tell you, I was grateful for it. Lily tugs my shirt, whispers, "Daddy, why don't you just tell them about the valve? Won't that make them leave, smart kid?" But some folks only learn the hard way. "Sometimes, sweetheart, you gotta let people figure things out for themselves," I tell her, hoping she'll understand someday. The next morning, I wake up to the smell of barbecue and the sound of 40 strangers in my backyard. Canopy tents, rafts, grills, the works. Lily's confused, a little scared. I don't blame her. When I go down to the pond, Vivian's there with a bigger, fancier document. This one's got a seal, multiple signatures. "This is a county permit," she says loud enough for everyone to hear. 30 days legal right to use this water. I call my buddy Jerry, the local deputy. He reads the document and shakes his head. "Luke, I hate to say it, but this looks legit. Maybe you should get a lawyer." Vivian starts another live stream, paints me as the selfish rancher. Within minutes, comments pour in, people calling me names, saying I'm hoarding resources. I feel my chest tighten, old memories coming back, the panic, the helplessness from the night I lost Sarah. I have to sit down, and Lily rushes over. "Daddy, you look like after Mommy's funeral." That cut deep. Tank moves in, takes a closer look at Vivian's new paperwork. "Luke, this seal doesn't match any Travis County document I've ever seen. He snaps photos, sends them to his contacts at the courthouse. While we're waiting, local news shows up. Vivian tells her story. We're organizing a grassroots movement for community access. On TV, I look like the bad guy. But Tank's contact gets back to him. The court order is real, but Judge Morrison, who signed it, is under FBI investigation for corruption. Now things are spinning out of control. Neighbors start crossing the street to avoid me. Grocery clerks go silent. Lily comes home crying because her friends aren't allowed to play with her anymore. I can't even drop her off at school without feeling eyes on me. Then, out of nowhere, Mrs. Patterson, the quiet lady from the county office, knocks on my door. She sits down, spreads out documents on my coffee table. Turns out Vivian's been researching my property for months, pulling geological surveys, water rights zoning maps, even plans for a massive development project. She's not just throwing parties, she's laying the groundwork for something bigger. And she's been having secret meetings with Supervisor Jenkins and Judge Morrison, meetings that never make it onto any calendar. While we're piecing this together, Tank comes by with news about Mickey Torino, a developer who vanished 6 months ago, just before he was supposed to testify for the FBI. Tank's old contacts say Mickey was cooperating with a task force investigating money laundering through community organizations. Suddenly it clicks. Vivian's HOA isn't about community wellness. It's a front for laundering money, snatching up land for fake developments. Right then, a man in a sharp suit, Bradley Chambers' lawyer for the HOA, serves me a restraining order. I can't go near the pond or surrounding land by order of the court. Mr. Mallister, he says your actions interfere with legitimate community activities. I want to scream, but I keep it together. Mrs. Patterson tells me the FBI called her too. They want us to document everything because we're about to be witnesses in a federal case. The next day, Agent Maria Santos from the FBI shows up at my house, dressed down but all business. She lays it all out. Mickey Torino's body was found under a casino in Nevada. The evidence points to murder. Vivian was the last one seen with him. The whole operation is a shell game for laundering casino money. And my pond. My property sits atop one of the largest aquifers in Central Texas. If the wrong people control it, they control water rights for miles. Agent Santos reveals something wild. That valve system my granddad installed. Turns out it's not just for irrigation. He was a military engineer, designed the system as a piece of emergency national security infrastructure during World War II. And then, twist of all twists, Bradley Chambers, the lawyer, is actually Mickey Torino's son. He's undercover for the FBI, serving me a restraining order to keep me out of the crossfire and to stay close to Vivian's operation. Talk about the enemy being your ally. Mrs. Patterson overheard Vivian planning a big push, a festival week, where they'd try to force me out for good. Agent Santos asks me to play along, wear a wire, and help the FBI gather evidence. I agree, not just for me, but for Lily and for everyone who's ever been bullied by people with too much power and too little conscience. Festival week begins, and my land is overrun. Over 300 people, food trucks, banners, real estate pros posing as festival goers. I wear the wire, make small talk watch as so-called visitors take measurements and photos of the valve housing. But then at exactly 2:47 p.m., a convoy of black SUVs barrels in and out. Steps Agent Santos, bullhorn in hand. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an active federal investigation. Vivian loses it, screams that I'm working with the FBI, accuses everyone of being corrupt. Agent Santos drops the bomb. This is about the murder of Michael Torino, money laundering, organized crime. Suddenly the crowd scatters, news cameras rolling, everyone scrambling. In the chaos, I pull out my phone and go live on Facebook. My name's Luke Mallister, and for the past week, you've watched Vivian Ashworth try to steal my family's land. The FBI is arresting her right now for murder and money laundering. And here's what she wanted. I wade into the pond and turn the old valve water, starts draining, secrets coming to the surface. The stream blows up. Drainth party goes viral, news stations call, memes pop up everywhere. As the pond empties, we find more than I expected: a waterproof container with USB drives and documents, recordings of Vivian threatening Mickey, text messages about his murder, payoffs to judges, bribes to politicians. It's all there, proof that the corruption ran all the way up the food chain. Bradley Chambers, standing beside me, listens to his father's last words. Pain, anger, but mostly this iron resolve. The DA calls, says charges are coming down not just on Vivian, but on the whole network, county supervisors, state senators, even the judge who signed my court order. The fallout is like a storm. Neighbors apologize, bring food, tell me they're sorry for doubting me. The news flips the script, calls me a hero. Vivian tries to threaten me one last time from jail, but the FBI puts Lily and me under protection. When the trial ends, Vivian gets life plus 40 years for racketeering. Supervisors, judges, even a senator go down. The FBI says over $200 million was stolen through fake HOA scams. And Bradley starts a foundation to help families fight property fraud. Tank, now elected county sheriff, stands beside me at the new community center built on my land, dedicated to teaching folks how to stand up to corruption. Turns out my granddad's underground bunker was once a safe haven for Jewish families fleeing Europe in World War II. We donate what we found to help others keep the story alive. 6 months later, at the dedication, I hold Lily's hand and look out at a crowd that finally gets what happened here. Sometimes the biggest battles aren't the ones you choose, they're the ones that choose you. My real win wasn't just keeping the land. It was proving that ordinary people with a little patience, a lot of heart, and some help from good neighbors can still beat the odds. So, tell me, where do you stand? Was I right to fight? Or do you think community comes before property rights? Let's hear your thoughts below, because this story might be over for me, but the debate about justice, community, and doing what's right, that's just getting started.